Okay, so FTX, you know, I actually maybe 6 months ago, maybe even a year ago, I kind of bought some Bitcoin myself, just a little bit, because again, I'm like not a big investor and stuff like that, so I don't, I didn't really look into investing, but it was promising, right? I invested just a little bit, not a huge amount, like no Elon Musk money, and but I invested some, and looking at it today, and it's terrible. It's terrible. The 401ks for people in the country, just terrible. And I still can't wrap my mind around the fact that people voted for for their own demise. That's what happened this past election, right? People voted for their own demise. They saw how the 401k was already down, and they still voted for the people who destroyed it. They saw how the food prices were going through the roof. The gas price is still an issue, and the gas price is about to go up again, and they voted for it. They saw the crime happening throughout the nation, and they knew who, because of the policies of letting these hardened criminals out into the street, and they still voted for it. How did we get here? How did this happen? How did people get so blind or so much? It's not even being blind. It's people have so much hatred for Republicans that they will vote for the Antichrist. When the Antichrist comes up and say, I'm the Antichrist, vote for me, they would do it just to avoid voting for a Republican that wants safety and security and prosperity for everybody. They will still do that. Now, this guy with the FTX, more information is coming out about him. And he was a second donor to George Soros, to the Democrat Party. And he had billions of dollars. And if you ask me, based on some of the information that I've seen, they were funneling money, the Democrat Party were funneling money to Ukraine, so to go to FTX, and then FTX would get the money, and then guess what? It would just funnel right back to the Democrat Party. It's money laundering 101. And a lot of people are like, well, we don't know. We don't know if that's what they were actually doing with it. But you know what? There's a lot of people blowing the whistle on what this dude was doing with this money. And it's not just him. It was other people. It was a whole scheme, a scam for the Democrat Party. And it looked like it helped. Millions of dollars went into Fetterman. Millions of dollars went against the Republican Party. Put it this way, millions of dollars went against the American people to destroy this nation. They have no issues with doing it. Listen to this small report about the Bitcoin and how it's gone down 75% since this time last year. That's painful, because a lot of people were like, well, you get Bitcoin, get away from like the American dollar, get away from the yen, get away from the euro. Bitcoin can't be touched by these governments. And a lot of people are saying it is, it's more secure. You know what? If you ask me, I think it's a double-edged sword with this whole issue with FTX and Bitcoin cryptocurrency. The federal government wanted to control cryptocurrency, and now they have this big scam that took place, and it crushed a lot of people who've invested millions of dollars into cryptocurrency, and that is just all gone. Now it gives a reason for the federal government to come in and say, okay, we need to regulate this. You don't believe me? Listen to this report.
All right, Roman's numeral this morning, 25%. That's how much JP Morgan Chase analysts predict the value of Bitcoin will drop in coming weeks. The stunning collapse of crypto exchange FTX, only part of the reason. Analysts say the Federal Reserve's rate hikes will leave less money available for cash investment well into next year. And less money means investors avoiding risks. And crypto, by the way, if you haven't noticed, is a huge risk. Bitcoin is down nearly 75% from a year ago, just under $17,000. Analysts think it could fall below $10,000. The real shame of it is it's individual investors, the last to get in and the first to get hurt when something implodes like Bitcoin. That's why regulators will be coming around to look.
You hear that? That's why regulators, meaning the federal government, stepping in to regulate how much digital currency you can have. And y'all sadly mistaken if you think that the Biden administration is not trying to, the Biden regime and these Democrats, you're sadly mistaken if they're not trying to push to a digital currency. Let me remind you of something. When they wanted to do that first stimulus bill for the COVID, y'all remember that? one of the things that they had in there was to do away with all currency. I actually have something here. Look, this was during that time, and this is a $20 bill. It's probably more. This is probably all I have to my name, but this is a $20 bill, and someone gave this $20 bill to me wrapped up in saran wrap. Why? Because they were saying that it was probably have COVID on it. They were using it. I don't know how well y'all can see that. You see how it's kind of shiny like that? That's because it's wrapped up. And I kept it this way because I thought it was really interesting that people were actually going along with this nonsense and falling for it. But anyways, Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats, they put into the bill where they wanted to take away currency and bring in and implement a digital currency. Now they're even pushing more towards that. And people, once they do that with the digital currency, guess what happens? Once they push into digital currency, they can sanction individual people in the United States of America. If you supported a particular campaign, you supported a particular movement financially, they can cut off your funds. And they love the idea because they did it in Canada. They found out the people that were protesting because of all the COVID that they were implementing onto the people in Canada. They found out who they were, found out their bank accounts. They even suspended their bank accounts. They couldn't even put food on the table, keep the lights on, because the government, the tyrannical government in Canada, was doing that. You're sadly mistaken if you think the Democrats here don't want to do the same thing. Now listen to this video. This was just a panel of people actually talking about FTX. And what's really interesting is one guy is actually spilling the beans about this guy, Samuel, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, spilling the beans about him. But I want y'all to pay attention to what the other guy says. Check this out.
Hey, did you know silver prices are down right now because investors are selling their holdings because of a turn down in demand? Once fear subsides though, you can see a surge in demand for silver as consumers come back. This is a perfect time to get your silver IRA started. And this month, you'll get an incredible 3-ounce silver American virtual coin with a qualified IRA of $20,000 or higher. You can't go wrong with Noble Gold. Call the team right now at 877-646-5347 and tell them Will sent you, or go to noblegoldinvestments.com.
That all of us are worried about. You know, on the balance sheet of FTX is a line called Trump lose.
Stop it. There's a line on there says Trump lose. Y'all hear this? FTX, hand in hand with the Democrat Party, they're funneling money through Ukraine to FTX. Think about what I'm saying. And they have that on there, a line that says Trump lose. Think about that. Now, he's going to go on, but I want y'all to really pay attention to the guy that's sitting on this panel with him. Look how he reacts to it.
And Sam was the second biggest donor to Democratic candidates.
I'm going to leave it to everybody else to draw their own conclusions about what you're saying here.
Stop it. You hear him? I'm going to leave it to everybody else to draw their own conclusions on what you're saying here. How about you just go with what he's saying? How about you just do that? There's no need to draw a conclusion. Just go based on what he's saying. Is it just me? But this dude is one of them. He's one of them. This global elitist, they did this. You know what? It's a global effort to tear down America. And the Democrats are right involved in all of it. Listen.
Right? Those are really, really ugly facts when you see a fraud of this magnitude having played out and you find no regulators were there to prevent it. That's a really, really tough story.
We could talk for quite a while about FTX. Sadly, we don't have it. So I have to finish with
Really, sadly, we don't have it. You know, let's change the subject because this is a sore subject. This is going, you know what? This should expose the Democrats for who they are. This should expose why they want to keep funneling money to Ukraine, because all it was just a circle. They send the money to Ukraine and then go to FTX, and then they come right back to the Democrat Party. Ukraine, FTX, Democrat Party. I seen these before I even knew any information about it. And I'm sitting there looking at these memes that the people are putting on Twitter when people were seeing what's happening, because a lot of people, into cryptocurrency, and they were like, man, look at this. Oh, wow, look at this evidence, information coming out about it. And they create this memes showing Biden going to Ukraine with money, and then the money going to FTX, and then it going from FTX to the DNC. Then go to Biden, the vicious cycle right there. But you know what? Nothing's going to come of it. We're going to talk about it all day long. We'll talk about it. The news will talk about it. But no criminal charges will be placed. The Democrat Party will like, well, that's just politics. Nothing to see here. Nothing will ever change. And they'll just find another Ponzi scam to launder money so the Democrat Party can get it. You know what other organization was doing that, Shannon? You know what other organization was doing that? It was Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood was doing the exact same thing. They funnel money into Planned Parenthood.
True.
And Planned Parenthood would make these huge donations to the Democrat Party. It's the same thing. And of course, like I said, nothing's going to come of it, because why? Because we know that the Democrats are corrupt. That's just their nature.
Yeah, and they actually use the federal funds to push back to the Democrats. Democrats are a huge donor to them.
Yep.
With federal funds, by way of federal funds,
Yep.
Medicare, and all that.
Yep.
And they should not be able to contribute to the Democrat Party because it benefits them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course. But you know what? None of that's going to change. None of that's going to change.
I think that's one thing that maybe, Matt Gaetz was kind of talking about, eliminating stuff like that.
Yeah, but it's not going to change because the power at B,
Yeah.
even some of these establishment
Democrats won't vote
Republicans,
for
even
it.
some of these establishment Republicans,
True.
they don't want it to go away either. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in and watching this. Please do me a favor, like, follow, and subscribe no matter how you are watching this. If you want to see the full episode that you have just watched, there's 4 segments basically. But if you want to watch the full episode, go to frankspeech.com and search for Will Johnson, or just look at Lindell TV 2 at 7 p.m. Central, Monday through Friday. You'll see more content there. You'll see stuff there that you can't see on these other socialist media platforms. I get deep dive into the stuff that's happening into our world. So if you want to check it out, the full segment, because it's really good, especially right now with everything that's going on, what they don't want you to know or want you to talk about, check it out. frankspeech.com, and look at Lindell TV 2, 7 p.m. Central, Monday through Friday. Thank you. God bless.